Welcome into Celtics post-game live, presented by New England Ford Dealers and Ford Trucks. And the Miami Heat beat the Boston Celtics in Game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals, 111-105. And the Celtics, they led by as much as 12 points in this game. But me and you, Scal, we talked about this. It felt like they should have been up more in this matchup. Correct. What allowed the Heat to hang around and get this win?
Miami kept this thing within striking distance, and that was a problem. And I think we're going to really talk about the Grant Williams, Jimmy Butler going nose to nose, which I don't have a problem with Grant Williams going nose to nose with Jimmy Butler. But what I did see, I don't know if you guys could see it at home, the Miami Heat went to level 10 and we stayed at level 5. And that's not going to work. Like, you could tell they all, and Eddie could probably attest to this better than I can, they all were like 100% about that moment. And it didn't feel like we were 100% about that moment. And from then on, it was 22-9, Miami Heat. It was almost like they felt at home in that situation.
You know what? We're going to talk about that. We can talk about that. But besides that, to me, when it gets funky, right, when it gets like that, I need my guys, my main guys, to step up and say, we know enough is enough. I want to see Jason Tatum take the challenge on Jimmy Butler. I want to see Jaylen Brown take the challenge. Like, they could take turns doing that. You know, I don't want to expend all my energy trying to chase him the whole time. But we got two guys that can do it, all NBA players. Why do we have Grant Williams on? Yeah, give Grant a couple possessions on him to give those other two guys a break. But when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, who is Jimmy Butler guarding when it gets down to the nitty-gritty?
Yeah, Tatum.
Okay, so our guys need to do the same thing. And that should be conveyed from not only the players saying, I need to step up and do that myself, but the coach should be challenging. Like, hey, you are best player. That's their best player. This is what everybody paid to see. This is what everybody wants to see. You're better than him. Go out there and show it.
I feel like that comes down to the personality of the team, though, and the identity of the team. The identity of the Miami Heat is completely different than what you see here in Boston. So, for example, you talk about Grant Williams getting up in Jimmy Butler's face. I got about 10 text messages that said, oh, he done woke him up. They're about to go crazy now. But it's totally different when you look at the Celtics, because you look at that roster and you look at what happened after Grant Williams got in Jimmy Butler's face. Who else stepped up? Who else gave that same energy? And I think that was the issue, is like, where was the energy? Where was the dog and everybody else to kind of step up and be like, okay, we need to take over this game?
Yeah, you know what? Are we still looking for that dog off the leash?
Yeah, I mean, I know Jimmy Butler is going to raise his level. I get it. I'm with Amina. Like, that's your moment. You're down 0-1. You're at home. Jimmy Butler flexed on you in game 1. Now it's game 2. I don't understand why. And like I said, I don't know if you guys could feel it, but there was no response from our team.
And, I have no issue with what Grant Williams did. He did exactly what he was supposed to do. But I have an issue with, from that point, our guys, who are our guys, supposed to step up and say, hey, man, we got your back. Check this out. I got him. You know, it's finna be one of them games. Oh, you thought we woke you? No, you woke us up.
Yeah.
And it's just not that. I mean, and Caleb Martin with 25 points off the bench, 11 for 16, way too easy for him. Adebayo, I mean, coming up with huge rebounds, big-time plays, keeping the ball alive, getting to the free throw line, causing fouls, doing all the little dirty work. And right now, when I look at the game, I'm replaying it in my head, you know, from quarter to quarter right now, and I'm thinking about every time it got really like to that, where's the grit at, right? Well, we have a stranglehold on this game. We could put a stranglehold on this game, and we could separate ourselves. It almost was like a, And then next thing you know, here come the Heat. They on you now. We on our heels.
Yeah.
And again, I mean, maybe that's the whole proverbial letting go of the rope that they've been doing all season long, that's coming back to finally bite them.
Yeah.
And I hope that's not the case, but it looks like that's what happened these last 2 games.
Let's take a look at the fourth quarter and that turning point. You talked about Grant Williams getting up in Jimmy Butler's face, and then Jimmy Butler, he just went absolutely crazy. He hit a totally different level. Just like you said, Scal, he went up to 10. Butler getting buckets right here, then tied the game up at 100, then gave the Heat a 2-point lead, just going back-to-back buckets. And he went one-on-one with Grant Williams. And I feel like he was trying to prove a point, obviously, with Grant getting in his face. And then he also had Jason Tatum. He got in there as well, trying to take a charge in that fourth quarter. There were things that the Celtics were trying to do, trying to keep themselves in this matchup. But the Heat, they just capitalized off of the details, Eddie. And I think that was the big thing looking at the Celtics toward the end of this matchup. They kind of let the Heat capitalize off of where they fell short. And when you don't pay attention to those details, that's how you lose a game like this.
No doubt. And then on top of that, I'm just also looking back at that, and then the way we guarded Jimmy Butler all series so far. We're allowing him to play one-on-one. The Heat are doing a magnificent job of getting the perfect matchup that they want against Jimmy Butler. He's having a whole side of a basketball court to work with. And he could go baseline, he could go middle. There's nobody standing at the nail to deter him from going middle. He'll get to the middle and work out from there. He'll go baseline. You know what the Miami Heat are doing to our guys? Every time they touch the ball, they're seeing two bodies. Every time they have the ball, they're seeing multiple bodies. And I'll say this. I read an article. This was before the series started. Eric Spoelstra said they love to drive the ball, speaking on the Jays, Jalen and Jason. They love to drive the ball, and once they drive the ball, they'll collapse your defense. We can't allow them to get into the lane easy. They must see bodies. And then on top of that, whoever on the weak side have to be ready. Whoever's supposed to be at the nail has to be ready. And if they're not, I'm not going to play them. And so, to me, they're coming in with a specific game plan, and we have not adjusted to it. We have been trying to run through a brick wall constantly, having Jason Tatum trying to get downhill against not only his defender, two guys behind him, and then two more guys behind him trying to figure out how to get to the basket. To me, it's going to be a lot of changes that you have to do offensively, but first and foremost, it starts defensively. The Heat have been getting everything they wanted.
Yeah. It just feels like the Heat are a little bit more locked in than the Celtics when you take a look at these first two games in this series.